Hi, my name is Stuart Biddlecombe, and you are listening to the Cinematography podcast.
The following podcast contains explicit language. You're listening to the Cinematography podcast presented by Hot Rod Cameras, a program about the art, craft, and philosophy of the moving image and the people who make it happen. Coming to you from the world headquarters of Hot Rod Cameras in Hollywood, California, are your hosts, Ben Rock and Ilya Friedman.
Hey Ben, how you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing?
It was a fireworks extravaganza yesterday. It was the 4th. How was your 4th?
Yeah, we might have been recording this yesterday and on the 4th of July, as we're recording this on the 5th of July. And on the 4th of July, I don't know that we could have gotten clean host wraps because it sounded like
a war zone.
It sounded like the Blitzkrieg of London going on outside my house.
I'm pretty sure that Los Angeles is the land of illegal fireworks. It really is. It's kind of nuts. There's no fireworks legal here inside the county of LA, but yet
we're a desert and we're currently in a drought. No one should be doing anything with like fiery anything. Can I tell you the weirdest story about someone complaining about fireworks?
Sure.
To me, it's just one of my favorite things ever. It was on Nextdoor. I don't know if you're familiar with Nextdoor, but it's sort of like if you brought the YouTube comment section to your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And applied it to your neighbors. So I believe it was last year, somebody complained, not in my neighborhood, but in an adjacent neighborhood, that it was like 3 or 4 days after the 4th and people were still lighting off fireworks. And he complained that he has a spider farm in his garage and where he breeds spiders. And the fireworks were making the spiders not want to breed and making them agitated. And he was afraid that they were going to crawl into his son's room in the house. And I feel like it's the most creative way I've ever seen anyone say, please stop lighting off fireworks. Because it's just one of the most brilliant things I ever saw. And he was specifically saying he had these peacock spiders, which if you're in front of a computer, look up peacock spiders. They're gorgeous. And I'm saying this as someone who is pretty close to arachnophobic, but peacock spiders are beautiful. And he said that he couldn't get them to mate because of the fireworks. So happy Patriot 4th of July, everybody.
I'm not going to be able to forget this story now.
No, it's a great story. And I think if you think about lighting off fireworks as dissuading spiders from breeding, it might make you want to do more with fireworks. So who is on the show today?
On the show today is cinematographer Stuart Biddlecombe.
Stuart Biddlecombe of course, Handmaid's Tale fame. Holy crap. Like water cooler show. We get into it.
Nice. All right, Ben. So what's our close focus for today?
Actually, before close focus, I have a terrible revelation of something that I learned tonight that I need to tell you that I intentionally didn't mention off mic because I wanted your honest, real-time response to this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you sitting down?
Sitting.
Earlier tonight, I went to a restaurant for the first time in 16 months to hang out with some of our friends, some of our mutual friends, Matt Compton.
Did you sit outside?
We did. We were all outside. Producer Matt Compton. Mm-hmm. Director, co-director of the Blair Witch Project, Daniel Myrick, raconteur, producer, director, everything, multi-hyphenate, Zubi Mohammed, great friend of both of ours, and Kays Al-Atrakchi, who revealed something to me. Kays Al-Atrakchi, who created all the music that we're listening to on this show, revealed that he listens to the show.
Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to trump you here because he revealed something to me yesterday because I saw him for the 4th of July.
It's that he listens to the show.
Yes, he listens to the show, and he also revealed one other detail to me that he might not have told you.
No, I'm pretty sure he did, but why don't you go ahead and take it?
He said, your guests are fine, but I would just listen to an hour of you and Ben talking.
Oh, my God.
Is that what he told you?
He did tell me that, yes.
So I think we've had him all wrong. I think he's been listening to this show every week. And he just doesn't say anything.
He's been all like Russell Carpenter, Russell Schmarpenter. I'm listening to my two jagoff friends run their yaps.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. So he waited till the 4th of July, basically, to troll both of us. I didn't talk to you yesterday, but clearly he knew he was going to see you. And so he let this little drama bomb drop here, about...
I'm shocked. It ruins our shtick because our shtick, for those of you who don't listen to us all the way through the end, is we always thank Kays and then remind everyone that he will not be listening to this episode. But in fact, he's been listening to them all along. He's been listening to them.
And that's actually the other reveal that he had, which was the reason I was invited to his little, small neighborhood get-together on the 4th of July is because he heard the episode where you and I are talking and you mentioned something about him making pizza something about his house. And I said, I've never been to Kay's house. And he was like, when he heard that, he's like, I better invite Ilya to the next thing I do, which is this 4th of July thing. So there you go.
Okay, so dear listeners, I want you to go to his website, which is musicbykays.com, and just ask him any question about his pizza. So, Ilya, what do we want to talk about with our Close Focus segment today?
Oh, man. The DGA has readopted the first-run theatrical rules for movies to be considered for a DGA award, which, I mean, you're a member of the DGA. What do you think about this?
They did not consult me, hilariously. What do I think?
How dare they?
Ultimately, well, first of all, it would be a coup if the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences did not follow suit and make the same rule for Academy consideration. Meaning, if you are to win an Academy Award next year, you would have to have been initially released theatrically. It's gonna fuck up some people. Actually, our producer Alana Cody said Denis Villeneuve, Dune is not going to be therefore eligible for a DGA award because it's being released, I believe, day and date. So it'll be on HBO Max the same day that it's out in theaters.
Oof. Well, they said they were going to do that, but I think they'd have to renege and go and do a 1 week sort of theatrical run before all their releases in order to qualify.
I wonder if they could even just do a 1 day. Like if it's like they could just release it on a Wednesday theatrically, exclusively. I wonder if they could get away with that.
I'm pretty sure the rules say 1 week. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Black Widow, that might put a damper on it, too. I don't know if the people were thinking about DGA awards or Academy Awards, but there's a lot of hoopla and buzz right now, especially advertisements which say it's the best Marvel movie ever made. So, we'll see.
I mean, I guess the problem is that they're kind of ex post facto changing the rules because, like, Black Widow's already out. So what are you going to do? You can't make up a rule and expect the studio to retroactively have been able to adhere to it when they released the movie already. I'm not saying that Zack Snyder's Snyder Cut of Justice League was going to be nominated for a DGA award, but now it's definitionally precluded, and that kind of sucks.
I don't think it's retroactive for Black Widow. Black Widow doesn't come out until, I think, later this week.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to change their release plans that quickly.
No, not at all. I think they might be hosed.
Like whatever the release plans are, the ship has sailed. They can't say, "Oh, never mind, it's not going to be on the service," when they've already said it's going to be on the service. When they made that plan, they did not know that the DGA was going to be having this. I wonder if this is going to backfire in the DGA and they're going to have to make some special exceptions or something, because you can't ask any studio or any distribution platform to be kind of that flexible to the whims of any union. And it's not even really a union rule, it's just a union award. So it's like a thing the union gives out. It's not like it's going to affect anybody's pension or anything, you know?
Well, let's see what the Academy does. I'm sure they're going to make a statement here shortly, and we'll see if they follow or
well, you want to take a guess? You want to make a bet? I don't know about a bet, but you want
$1?
I'll bet you $1 that the Academy does whatever the DGA does.
Okay, I'll take that bet. You're about to be $1 richer. I'm just going to do that for the purposes of this podcast. I think you're probably going to be right, but yeah, sure. Okay, $1. I'm going to air shake you right now with you. There you go.
$1. Shake.
$1. Yeah.
We should have done Dogecoin. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to that interview with Stuart Biddlecombe.
The Cinematography Podcast Interview.
All right, I am here transcontinentally across the ocean, across the great oceans, talking with Stuart Biddlecombe, DP of the current season of Handmaid's Tale. Holy crap, like one of those water cooler shows that everyone wants to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to have you on.
Pleasure, Ben. Thank you very much for asking me.
So Handmaid's Tale is, one of those shows that I think, not to diss any other TV show, but my God, it kind of transcends a lot of other TV shows. I think in terms of its cultural resonance and importance when it shows up in our world. And so, I wonder, firstly, what it's like to kind of take the mantle, because when you come to the show, it's already kind of a big hit. Taking on the mantle of something that's like such a cultural icon, as it were.
Yeah, it's just true. Yeah, I mean, so I kind of came in on season 3. Now shooting at season 4. And yeah, when I came on board, I was kind of going, holy moly, this is going to be, this is an extraordinary show. And I have to try and, carry on this Emmy award-winning show. And what kind of made things a little bit more tricky was that my director for my first ever block was Colin Watkinson, who was a cinematographer for seasons 1 and 2, who was the Emmy winner.
Wow.
So to then to step into his shoes basically and light his episode was pretty extraordinary. But great, he showed me the ropes, and I felt very lucky to be able to get his kind of side on it and his take on it and kind of carry on. And I hope I've done that. I hope that I've continued where he left off, working with Lizzie and all these extraordinary actors and working on these extraordinary important scripts as well. I think more than ever, so I am. I can't believe my luck, I'll be honest.
I feel like it was a show that must have been in production before. When did it first go on the air? I believe it was 2016. But it was like the culture here in America, not to get political, like radically shifted, and stuff like Handmaid's Tale or Jordan Peele's Get Out suddenly felt culturally more prescient than they ever had before. And I know that, in England, you've experienced a similar political shift, although not maybe in the same way.
Yes, yeah.
When you're working on something like that, as a cinematographer, you've got the reality of your life on the day where you're shooting, X number of pages per day and trying to give the director what they want. But is there a greater purpose, something fueling you while you're doing it? Is it commanding your attention? How
Yes.
much a part of the culture it is?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this book is extraordinary and also incredibly relevant. So to be able to tell these stories, I think is a privilege and also very important for us right now as well. So yes, we are very much aware. Yes, of course, we do think about the day-to-day aspects of filmmaking, but we are also very conscious that we are telling a very important story here. And you see every day in the news now that we are edging towards this Handmaid's Tale-esque world, and I think we have to be important. I'm not trying to over-egg about what we do. We are filmmakers, and I'm not trying to say we are anything more important than doctors or nurses, but I do think we have got a very important story we are trying to tell, and to get it out there is important for us. And this is a book which I read when I was a teenager in school, and then to put it into pictures.
That's interesting.
Is incredible. So I do feel it's important, and I do feel very lucky.
I don't know if I'm actually correct when I say this, but Handmaid's Tale to me was like Hulu had been doing a couple original shows here and there, and I feel like Handmaid's Tale was the first one that just knocked it like way, way out of the park for them. And Ilya and I on the podcast are often sort of talking about the streamers, the Netflix and the Hulus and the Amazon Primes as kind of technology companies that have gotten into the entertainment space.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
And in a way that I think it's amazing because it's bringing such unique stories to us. Did you find it any different working in that environment, or was it basically the same once you're on the show?
I must admit, Hulu have been great. I've never worked on a show where they have pretty much left us to it.
Really?
Absolutely. Even such a way that it's not just Hulu, but it's also the production company as well, in that I have an extraordinary input in the look of the show, and also in the way that the story as well to a degree. I remember at some point a couple of years ago, it was Lizzie, myself, and Bruce were sitting around a table in Lizzie's apartment, and we were chatting about where the show was going and what kind of scenes we wanted to shoot. And then so me, the director of photography, sitting with the executive producer, Lizzie, our number one, and also Bruce, the showrunner. And we were talking about what kind of scenes we wanted to shoot and what kind of direction this particular episode was going. It was extraordinary. And so we do have an incredible creative input. And I think Hulu encouraged that, and I think it's very much from the top down. So, Bruce, Lizzie, everyone, Warren, they do kind of encourage, we all have an input. And it's not just me either, it's Elizabeth, our incredible production designer. So with the creative freedom we have on this show is amazing. I don't think I've experienced anything like it. It's a reason why, I want to be going back and shooting season 5, because I do have, we put ourselves on screen, and I can't think of any other show I work on where I'm able to do that. It is incredibly collaborative across the board. It isn't just me, but it's also my camera operator. it's my gaffer. It's everyone across the board. It's a great show, and I think it does come from the top, from Hulu, I think.
Handmaid's Tale is a show where color plays, color is damn near a character in the show, the way color is used.
Sure.
And I was curious, like, outside of making sure that the featured colors are in the frame, what do you do with lighting, or how are you playing with color in your realm to kind of either complement or properly contrast what the production designer is going for?
Obviously, in season 1 or 2, they had a very distinct grades. I think Gilead had these very muted, very, very contrast, very, very strong colors. They kind of had kind of two different worlds. You had the Gilead world, and you had a Canadian look, if you like. And Canada was this slightly muted, a little bit softer. Mm-hmm. And they were very distinct. They're kind of geographical. Gilead was this look, and Canada was this look. But we need to evolve this, particularly now in season 4, where we weren't going to be in Gilead so much. We were traveling, we were following June, we were following Lizzie's character from Gilead and going into Canada. So we're like, okay, well, what does this mean for our palette? So it's very interesting to kind of follow our process and kind of know, okay, well, this is how can our look progress, and how can we push it forward? I think it was very important for us that we didn't just kind of stay with what had been started by in seasons 1 and 2. And we wanted to take it on and sort of see how far it could go. And I think we achieved that.
So you brought up the grade. I'm curious how much of that evolution in look happens practically on set with production design and lighting and costumes, and how much of it you achieve in post through the grade. Because I think when digital grading became a big thing, like we saw a bunch of like very overcooked looks, 10, 15 years ago. And I feel like grading has become such a subtle art that it's harder and harder to tell what was photographed that way and what was post-affected.
We didn't do an awful lot, to be honest, in post. We did a few tweaks. We did the odd little thing here and there, the odd vignette, but we didn't do that much. I worked very hard with the gaffer and with the designer, and also with Mike Ditt as well, to create these looks while we were shooting it. And essentially, we've got a very strong LUT. Basically, we do build an awful lot into our grade. We put mole beams, big hard lights through our windows. We put a lot of soft light onto faces. We didn't do that much. We had a very clear idea of where we wanted to put these scenes, and we did it all in camera. We didn't do that much in post at all. It was very exciting, to see the show evolve in front of our eyes before we knew, before we even got to the edit suite. We just kind of knew that this is what these scenes are going to be. Of course, things change. Of course, they do. But we were 90% of the way there before we'd even got into the edit suite. It was very exciting.
That's cool. When I watch The Handmaid's Tale, I always think this is a dystopian story told where the main character's dystopia is the other character's utopia. And we're kind of in like a weird, like a seesaw. And I always think it's interesting because it's, we're used to dystopian stories like every zombie movie ever made, or, The Walking Dead or The Road or whatever, where it's like, it's just dystopia for everyone. And
yeah, absolutely. I think hopefully in season 4, there is a little bit more. There is a little bit of light relief. I would hope. Still keeping with the theme of the show. But yeah, it is it is sometimes difficult to film. Some of the things we shoot are difficult for us. So much so that being on set is actually incredibly lighthearted. We purposely make it a fun place to be, just because we're all well aware that this is a very hard and very tricky things we are filming. So to try and counteract that, we have a bit of a giggle and we try and have a good time. But it is difficult, and it does affect us. We are filming things which are very, very strong and do affect the audience. But we are very conscious of that. But at the same time, we know that us as filmmakers and us as human beings, we also have to have a bit of light relief as well. So we need to, and I think it is. We have a great time on set. It is a great place to be, even though we are filming these pretty horrific events.
I've always heard, I haven't worked on a lot of comedies myself, but I've always heard that, because I've worked on a bunch of horror movies and that kind of stuff, and it's like everyone's always laughing their asses off on those kinds of projects. And I always hear that on comedies, everyone's dead serious and making sure that everything's funny, and that between takes, everyone's like all... So
yeah, exactly. I think that probably is. It's kind of the flip side, exactly that. But yeah, we have a board. It's kind of it's the best people I've ever worked with. They really are. And that we, from the moment I arrive on set to the moment we leave, we just have an absolute ball. There's not a single grump on set. They're all great.
That's great to hear. That really is great to hear. I mean, I think sometimes, especially, for the last year or so with COVID, where everything kind of feels gloom and doom in the entire world. And we always are talking about the intense stories of how hard it was to pull off this shot, or, how much work went into this or that. It's fun when it works, when you see the magic, it should be fun. That's why we all went into this.
Absolutely. And you can see it, hopefully. But also, I think with COVID as well, everything kind of put into perspective a little bit, really, that we weren't saving lives. We are, we're not doctors, we're not nurses. They're the ones who are doing a proper job. We're the ones who basically, we're making, we're doing grown-up storytelling. But it is, we are very incredibly lucky that we can, tell this extraordinary story, but have a good time doing it at the same time. It is, I feel very lucky.
I know you keep saying that you're not saving lives, but I would like to say, yes, filmmakers aren't developing, vaccines or whatever, but for people who were stuck without being able to leave their houses, having stuff like Handmaid's Tale to watch for the last, year and a half has been kind of a lifeline. So
for sure, absolutely. So, I can agree. Yeah, I think you're right. I think if it wasn't for TV during lockdown, I think I probably would have gone mad. I think so. That's a good point. It's a good point.
So let's talk a little bit about your hero origin story. You told me off mic before we started that you went to film school actually with one of our previous guests, Charlotta Bruce Christensen, who's just an amazing DP and now director, and we've had her on the show twice.
Yeah,
but I always like to ask people, what was the moment in your life where you realized cinematography was a job you could pursue?
It was, so I got into the industry by doing TV, as in multi-camera stuff. So I used to work on kind of game shows. I used to be a pedestal operator. I used to do that kind of stuff. And I was kind of in my mid-20s, I think, and I was doing a fairly big show in the UK. It was a show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. It was quite a big thing over here.
They might have it here too.
I remember, I'm sure you probably do. But I remember I was probably in my early 20s, and I was holding this camera. And I just thought, okay, well, this is it. I know I was enjoying it. I was loving it. But I thought, okay, well, I'm here. And do I want to be doing this for the next 40, 50 years? And I thought, you know what? I don't want to do it. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do? And I thought to myself, I'm going to go back to film school. So I gave it all up. And I was lucky enough to get into the National Film School here in the UK. So it was just a moment where I just thought, life's too short. I want to do what I want to do. I want to tell stories. I don't want to hold mid shots for the rest of my life. I want to try and put some of myself on screen. And I was very lucky enough to get into film school where I met Charlotta, and in a class of 5, we get to be taught by these most extraordinary cinematographers for 2 years. It was a pretty extraordinary time.
But you were already operating a camera. Like what brought you there?
I was, yeah. Well, I wanted to work in TV. My dad is a very keen photographer, and I watched TV and films when I was growing up. And I remember I remember going to school, and I remember taking the bus home and sitting on a bus and driving past this big, grand, beautiful house out in the countryside, and there's a big archway, and I saw an elephant in the middle of the road. I thought, what the hell is that? And then I saw a guy sitting on the end of a crane. I thought, what's he doing? What is going on?
Wow.
And then I thought, I want to be that guy there. I want to be sitting on the end of a crane, holding a camera, filming an elephant outside this beautiful house. And they were filming, I don't know what it was now. It's some kind of TV show here in the UK, and they had an elephant there. And I just thought, wow, that's what I want to do. I want to be that man. I want to be that person who sits on the end of the crane. And in the end, I kind of thought, well, okay, let's try and do it. And I from the age of, I think probably about 8 years old, I think, okay, I either want to be this cameraman or I want to be a pilot. And in the end, I thought, well, I must be I can still travel when I'm a cameraman. So I decided to be a cameraman instead. So
both worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So I managed to get a job as a trainee for a TV company where I worked my way up into TV operating. And then, as I said, I just thought, actually, you know what? This isn't actually what I want to do. I want to get into drama. I want to tell stories, and that's when I went to the film school.
I wanted to ask a question, kind of looking at the broad sweep of your career, which is that after you got out of school, you shot a bunch of shorts and stuff like that. And I want to know how you transitioned to being a cinematographer. But most of your career has been spent in television. Was that always your intention?
No, I'll be honest, it wasn't. Not really. I mean, I kind of fell into it, really. I think when you leave film school, you're let out into the big bad world, and it's a very competitive industry out there. There's a lot of DPs, and you take work where you can. And that, at the time, my first job was shooting low budget stuff for the BBC, and kind of that's where I kind of fell into. I don't regret it in the slightest. In all honesty, I'd love to shoot films, but in honesty, my path happened to fall into TV. But right now, I feel very lucky to be in the TV world, given that there's so many channels, so many extraordinary TV shows which are now available to us to shoot. I feel that this is the right thing I've done. And TV and film, I think the lines are slightly blurring. I think, but Handmaid's Tale. You can see it in the cinema. The way that we shoot it, it is cinema. It is the should be shot. I would shoot it in the same way that I would shoot a film. So, I think right now, the lines are blurred. I think right now the quality of the TV shows right now match film, if not exceed. So. Yes.
Often, yeah. Out here in LA, I've been lucky enough to before COVID, they would sometimes when they were premiering the new season of a TV show, they would have a screening in a theater. And I remember I went and saw the first episode of season 3 of Hannibal was I think the last one I went to see. And it was just no difference between watching it in a movie. I almost feel like, in the 90s when I was growing up, we had all these indie films. And it's not that indie films have disappeared, but I sort of feel like television shows like Handmaid's Tale, 15 years ago, that would have been an independent film. In fact, there was an independent film of Handmaid's Tale that came out, I think, when I was in high school.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what TV taught me is sometimes how not to shoot. Particularly in the kind of low budget stuff. We have to shoot very quickly. So you kind of, you fall into kind of the usual kind of TV traps. Then after a while, you kind of think, well, okay, well, what else can I do? What else? You watch films and go, okay, well, what makes this different to the stuff I'm shooting? And you kind of analyze it. You kind of go, okay, well, next time I'm going to do this. Next time I'm going to do that. And so you start to kind of push you slowly start to move away from your TV background and kind of move into a bit more of it's more of a cinematic, for want of a better word, into kind of into more cinematic kind of world. But I don't regret doing what I did in the slightest. We were shooting 15, 16 pages of dialogue a day.
Oh,
but
wow.
But it taught me how to shoot quickly. It taught me how to tell a story in the quickest and the most efficient manner. It's almost storytelling in the most purest form. Is in that, okay, what can we get from this one shot? We need to cut. These are the beats we need to tell, and this is the single position we can do that on, because we don't have time. We don't have time to go around the houses to go, okay, we're going to shoot this scene from here. It's almost became like a documentary in a way, in that we knew that we couldn't shoot coverage. We just knew we had to shoot this scene in about 15 minutes. So you go, okay, well, what is the leanest, the most quickest way we could shoot it? So I probably learned more doing that kind of stuff than I did in film school, to be honest. It taught me how to tell stories quickly.
So you worked on a show that my wife loves, and I've watched it a bunch. I don't really think I'm the target audience for it as much. Called Call the Midwife.
Yeah.
It's a great show, but I have a question, and this is probably the hardest, edgiest question I'll ever ask, and I'm afraid to ask it, but I'm just going to go ahead and ask it, and you can tell me. If you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. But okay. I'm just very curious, because usually I look at any TV series that any one of our guests has been on, and a show that's been on for a while, like say Ozark or Handmaid's Tale, whatever, there might be 4 or 5 DPs who've worked on it, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But there's like 22 DPs who have worked on Call the Midwife.
Yeah.
And it has 88 episodes. And you're the third most. So you shot 11 episodes. Toby Moore shot 18 episodes.
Okay.
If the answer is that the producers go through DPs like I go through Kleenex, then I don't want to get into smearing anybody. But I was just curious if there was like a logistic reason why so many people have worked on the show. And it's a gorgeous show. It's a period piece.
Amazing.
amazing attention to detail. I'm just curious.
I mean, I think it probably is. I think it's.
We recently talked to Polly Morgan, who also shot on that show.
Of course, yeah, exactly, yeah. And Kate Reed, some extraordinary DPs have been on that show. I think it's kind of, I think, like I said, it's kind of it's part of the course. You have a process of what shows you work on as a DP in the UK. You kind of start on Doctors, you then do Casualty, Doctor Who, Call the Midwife, Sherlock, and you kind of work your way up. So I think it's just, it's kind of part of the course. I think it is. I think it's part of our training. I think
well, and you did work on Doctor Who and Sherlock. I
did, exactly, and I'm not.
But like
the only one.
I guess I don't think about Doctor Who like that because Doctor Who's been on the air for 50 years. So
I know exactly. I hate to think about how many DPs have shot that show, but it is. I mean, it really is.
You could have a convention.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I mean, I love the fans. They're great, but yeah, they're pretty full on. I think that's for sure. But
that show has a fanatical fan base over here as well. Like I know so many people. I know.
I mean, even now, I haven't worked on the show for years, but I still get quite a lot of emails, kind of asking me about the show, and it is part of the kind of the British DP's route in. I think I think any DP, you could look through IMDb and kind of see who the DPs are, and you'll go, oh my God, they're doing that now. They're doing that now from kind of 10 years ago. And the list of the people they have now, you kind of think, oh my God, these are BAFTA winners, these are Emmy winners, and they've all shot Doctor Who in the past. So it's it is very much kind of part of the course, I think, for British DPs. Kind of they do these staple of TV shows before they kind of move onto the bigger stuff, I think.
So I'm assuming that we're going to have another season of Handmaids, and hoping that you're going to be on it. Okay. But beyond Handmaids, like, what are you looking to do next, or what are your upcoming projects that you're attached to?
I mean, at the moment, I'm on an Amazon job here in the UK for the same company I worked Sherlock on. It's a show called Devil's Hour for Hartswood. And what I really want to work with, I want to work with stories and work with stories which I can connect to. I think as a DP, I need to put myself on screen. It's important for me to connect with the script. So I want to be able to put myself. I want to put myself out there. I want to be creative, and I want to work on scripts which I find enjoyable and something which I think is important. And I want to work with nice people and creative people. I think life is short to be working with arseholes. And right now, I just want to be working on nice scripts with nice people, and right now, I seem to be doing that. So awesome. I hope it continues.
Somebody else said that. I was talking to another cinematographer recently on here, and I was asking her about like how she chooses her career trajectory, because she'd shot a bunch of one kind of thing, but a few things that were like way out of that. She's like, I just like working with people I enjoy working with. Like I don't want to.
It's so important, and to have that kind of confidence, and something which is very much available to us on Handmaid's Tale is that we are given the opportunity to speak out. And that's what I want to do. We are all creative people. I want to be listened to. I don't want to be barked at. I don't want to be told, okay, you're going to shoot here with an 85mm and the light's going to come through here. You're going to go, okay, fine. That's not the way I want to work. I want to work with. No, exactly. And I want to work with creative people who listen to me. And right now that seems to be happening. So, long may it continue.
Well, I think that's an amazing place to leave it. Before we go, do we have a website or Instagram account or anything where people can kind of interact?
I do, yeah. I guess my Instagram account, I suppose, is pretty interesting. Stuart DAP, lots of pictures of Handmaid's Tale, and
nice.
Probably my dog as well. Aww. So have a look. Hopefully
I will.
It's interesting. Hopefully.
I'll look for both. All right, well, cool. Stuart, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to meet you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks, Ben.
So that was Stuart Biddlecombe. Awesome. Everybody check out the new season of Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale is, oh my God, it is such the water cooler show. You're right. So many people I know watch that show and are super into it.
It's almost it's more timely than it had any right to be. Like when it got greenlit, it wasn't as timely as it was by the time it was released.
Yes, definitely. I think the Trump White House had a lot to do with it.
Yes, not to get political, but yeah. That thing you just said.
And now, short ends.
All right. So, Ilya, it is time for our short ends. What is your pet obsession of the week?
Well, I don't know if I mentioned this at any point on the podcast, but I recently purchased a drone. I purchased a little DJI drone, and it's been good. It's been a fun, diverting thing that I've been doing with the kids. It's been recreational. I'm not using it for commercial work. I'm not flying drones to make money or to do anything like that. It has truly been just sort of a fun exercise. And just recently, just in time for me doing some hobbyist drone piloting with my kids, the FAA have announced something called Trust, which is the Recreational UAS Safety Test. So, and it basically says that all recreational flyers must now pass an aeronautical knowledge and safety test and provide proof of test passage to the FAA or law enforcement upon request. So it used to be that if you were just a hobbyist, you didn't really have to have any sort of formal training. And this is fairly minimal training. I actually haven't done it yet, but I'm going on vacation soon. And before I go fly a drone again, I now have to go through this test here to be in compliance with the man.
I mean, like, is it like the DMV? You have to like go somewhere and pass a test?
No, it's you follow the safety guidelines that are on the FAA website, and you pass the trust test. I'm not even sure if there's much of a fee for this, but the website, faa.gov/UAS/recreational_flyers/knowledge_test_updates gives you all of this detail that you might want here. You can also type it trust FAA requirements into Google, and it'll probably be the first thing that comes up. But so anyone else out there who is like me, who might have just been flying occasionally here and there, there's all the details that you need to know about flying a drone for fun. I'll do an update. I have all the confidence that I can actually pass this test. I've got some knowledge of this as a recreational flyer. I've got some understandings. There's all kinds of warnings that drone manufacturers tell you about things you need to be aware of. So I'm feeling pretty confident. But if I fail it for some reason, I'll report that too. I'll let you know.
Oh man, you got to talk about that on the show. You got to we got to do the Game of Thrones walk of shame.
That's right. If I fail this and I can't fly the drone, then yeah, I'm going to have to hang my head. But it sounds like
we have to walk you around Burbank screaming, and everyone screams shame, and people dump old food on your head.
The really scary part is I'll have to be naked too, because that's that's part of that whole shaming.
Nobody in Burbank needs that. Yeah.
We can go by Jay Leno's garage. So
that's a great idea.
You bring the old food.
I'll throw old Carney's burgers on you. Yeah, my excuse if I drone better when I'm drunk, I guess probably won't fly. I didn't mean the double meaning.
I was going to say that then my walk of shame will have to go past Bob's Big Boy, and they got all kinds of old food to throw at me. So
I mean, that's what they're serving. Sorry, Bob's Big Boy. Anyway,
Bob's Big Boy. All right. So Ben, what is your short end this week?
I've talked about the Corridor Crew YouTube channel on here before. They do a series called VFX Artists React, where they sometimes it'll be like a bunch of different VFX shots, and they'll bring in, kind of stalwart, themselves. They're really knowledgeable and smart and awesome, and I love their channel. And every now and then they'll bring on an Andrew Kramer or Freddie Wong or somebody like that to kind of do a deeper thing. But they released a new episode this past week that I think it's really fascinating and really worth checking out. They focused entirely on 1998's The Mummy with Brendan Fraser. And they had visual effects art director Alex Laurent, who was the art director at ILM when they made The Mummy. And they went through, and it's very interesting because they'll show a VFX shot that was done in The Mummy, and then they'll ask Alex Laurent how he did it. And he'll usually make them guess. And they're guessing because, they were in, it makes me feel so ancient, but they were in middle school when The Mummy came out in 1998. most of the guys at Corridor Crew. And so, I remember, I think I was in college. No, I was way out of college in 98 now that I think about it. But I was a fully grown adult, driving a car and paying taxes by the time that movie came out. But they have a historical understanding of how techniques would have been done back then, and they understand all of them. So they are kind of throwing out their theories, and then he explains how they did, whatever they did. Was it models? Was it green screen plates? Was it CG? And some of them are like really interesting. Like there's a shot where the sand takes the form of the mummy's face and then kind of caves in. And they were talking about how it's kind of a simple 2D bump map that they kind of just faded off or something. So it gave it the illusion of sliding, but it really wasn't moving, but it works for the shot. And it's always interesting to kind of look back because 1998 was a long time ago, but some of those effects surprisingly do stand up. And obviously this is not the movie with the Scorpion King, the notorious Scorpion King shot where Dwayne Johnson is horribly CGI'd. They also just kind of show the good old-fashioned filmmaking that they did, and they'll show some of the original plates where, like, Brendan Fraser is like sword fighting some dusty-ass mummy creatures, and then they show you the source plate where Brendan Fraser is literally pantomiming hitting anything, like there weren't any people fighting back with him, and he had to kind of get the timing of it all exactly perfect. And, just kind of makes you appreciate what people had to go through to create this stuff 23 years ago. It was pretty fascinating. So I would say if you have about 10, 12 minutes, check it out. It's very entertaining. And I always watch the VFX artist reacts whenever they have a new one up because, like a lot of times they'll do an effect from a movie that I love or a movie I've never heard of, even better.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you found this recreation of mummy VFX and that you got to relive your Brendan Fraser sort of like campiest, greatest moments all over again.
I think you're making fun of me, but I'm very serious. I thought this was excellent. And also, I can't make the Sparks documentary my short end 2 weeks in a row because all I've been doing all week is listening to Sparks music.
Did I ever tell you my Brendan Fraser PA story?
No, you didn't.
Okay, so early on in my career, I had a PA job on a Brendan Fraser movie called George of the Jungle. And I was working in the office. I got a phone call from someone. I didn't know who it was. And they said, hey, yeah, I need to get my dry cleaning taken care of. And I said, oh, who's this? And they said, it's Brendan. I said, okay, hold on a second. Brandon, let me write this down. And he was like, it's Brendan Fraser. I'm in the movie. And I went, oh. Okay. Yeah. Hold on a second, Brendan. We'll arrange to get your dry cleaning taken care of. So. But yes, he didn't like that I had said Brandon. he made a real point of oops. Like, I didn't know. I mean, it's just calling me on the phone. Some guy wanted his dry cleaning taken care of.
We've all been that boneheaded PA, and that was your time.
That was my time. Yeah. George of the Jungle. Good times.
I don't know. I only have one Brendan Fraser story, and that was that I saw him at a screening once, and it's one of those moments where you realize why people are movie stars, because in a room full of people, he was just standing around, and it was The Quiet American, I think, which is a movie he did that I believe also starred Michael Caine. It's a very good movie, and I just remember like I'm in the room. It was at the ArcLight in the lobby, and it's like when you see somebody who's got that movie star thing, whatever it is, and it's so hard to define. It's just like your eyes just. You almost don't want to look at them, and you also don't want to look at anything else. And you realize that's why you're a fucking movie star, is because every cell in my body just wants to look at whatever the hell you're about to do. And when you meet these people, I had a similar experience with you when we went to the ASC Awards years ago, and Angelina Jolie was presenting something.
Oh yeah,
and Angelina Jolie, awesome actor, but like when she walked up onto the stage, it was just like. I am not the same species as that person who's going up there. Holy crap. Your eyes just don't want to go off of her. And you're like, that's why she's a movie star.
LA is an interesting place because almost anywhere you can run into someone famous, including big A-list people, and then all the sort of levels of all the strata down below that to character actors and you name it. But those people who do have that certain je ne sais quoi, that certain, undefinable thing, they really do kind of stick out. I'm sure I probably mentioned, maybe even on this show before, but Angelina Jolie's child and my child used to do karate together, and sometimes Angelina would just be another parent sitting there, with everyone else waiting for their kids to do karate. But even doing that, she totally stuck out. It was totally Angelina Jolie.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, Ilya, we're going to have to shake it up now because it's time to thank our amazing crew who make the show happen. But I think first we should say thank you, Kay's Al-Atrakchi. Thank you for listening to the show.
Yeah.
I've never said that before.
Thanks, Kay's Al-Atrakchi, who's totally listening to us right now.
You're listening to us right now. So you're hearing the plug that we have been giving you for these 7 years. Please go to musicbykays.com and email him like anything. Like just say you like his music. And please hire him if you need music or graphics or color correction.
I think really you should hire him for his music, though. His music's really good, and he's got a huge body of work, and he can do all kinds of genres and things. It's like, you should hire Case for his music.
I have personally worked with him as a composer on several projects, and I cannot say enough nice things about Case. So next we should thank Alana Cody, who has been listening to every episode because she has to proof this stuff.
That's
she has
true.
to listen to all this. All of this, whatever we're doing here, and she lines up all these amazing interviews for us. We have some just wonderful people coming up very soon, so please stay tuned. And last but definitely not least, these thanks are in no particular order. Ben Katz, our editor, who somehow makes us not sound like complete dopes, and in fact makes you and I sound interesting enough that Kay's Al-Atrakchi wants to listen to us talk.
Yeah, no kidding. And in fact, in lieu of even our guests, he wants to hear us yap it up, which incredible. Hey, Ben, I realized we didn't ask where can people find you if they want to find you out there in the world?
You can find me kicking around the alley behind the Starbucks over on Burbank Boulevard and Van Nuys Boulevard.
That's really true. I know you frequent that Starbucks.
Well, I go to that Starbucks and then I yak on the phone in the alley behind it with my AirPods. So if you do find me there, I'm probably talking on the phone. It might be important, but it probably isn't.
Probably
so
not,
just wave hello. Other than that, you can find me at benrockonline.com.
Nice.
And you, Ilya, where can people find you on the Information Superhighway?
On the Information Superhighway. You can find me over at Hot Rod Cameras, hotrodcameras.com. Proud sponsor of the Cinematography podcast, going on, 7 years now? Incredibly.
7 years. Oh,
I know.
God.
I know. Can you believe it? We're still doing this.
It only feels like 20.
It only feels like 25. Yeah, exactly. It's not the years, it's the miles. Yeah. Anyway, find me over there. You can also find me in all the usual sort of spots that people find others on the internets, the Facebooks and the LinkedIns and, the such and such.
I believe the plural is links in.
Linksins. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's going to do it for this week. Thanks, everyone, for listening.
We will see you next week.
This has been the Cinematography Podcast, presented by Hot Rod Cameras. Find your next camera, lens, or accessory on the web at hotrodcameras.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our show on iTunes and connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. Thanks for listening.